At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger, and we're starting off with the radar because, yeah, it's got some rain on it, and we're starting to see some of the heavier rainfall begin to approach the coast. We're seeing some light showers for parts of the valley and even some snow in the higher elevations. In fact, take a look at this. I'm going to show you. I got 3 mice I'm trying to navigate here. I'm going to show you right now what it looks like out there on Mount Shasta. Well, all right, that's no fun. Let's see if we can move that camera where we can see some of the snowflakes falling. Well, that's a total bummer. There were some snowflakes falling there earlier. The camera was showing that. There you can see some snow, some footprints there in the snow. I don't know if this is something that people have control over or if the Mount Shasta Ski Park is doing it, but bottom line, the ski park, any way you look at it, is definitely need to be looking at a lot of snow here starting today and really for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. So glad you could join us here this morning. Again, it looks like it's going to be a very active weather pattern starting really as early as today. We're starting to see that, and we will see that here as we take you into the next several days. The rain is going to pick up in intensity. We're going to see snow levels dropping eventually, but it's going to take a while. It's going to be one of those situations where today you're going to be like waiting and waiting and waiting, and then eventually that colder air moves in and boom, now we're seeing those snow levels really begin to plummet. So travel concerns today, I'm not as concerned as I will be tonight and tomorrow. And we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail, but I'd say this. Your biggest concerns will be mainly above 4,000 feet today, 4,000, 4,500 feet. I-5 Mount Shasta, I think you're okay today. I think 299 West, you're okay. 36 West, later this afternoon, you might start to see some chain requirements. Tonight, tomorrow morning, all bets are off. I-5 North, near Mount Shasta City. Highway 299 West, Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain. Chain requirements. I think that's going to definitely be the case as that colder air begins to move in. So let's get right into it. Let's take a look at the forecast and just what we can expect here. So be prepared for a wet pattern through early next week. And we've got heavy snow at times, which will lead to travel delays, and I'm definitely expecting to see that. And this is something that I forgot to put on this map, but I put on a little bit earlier. Should also say in there, maybe even some valley snow. Yes, I'm saying it. I'm saying it, but more in the way of a mix, not necessarily, I'm not expecting it to be in the form of accumulating snow at this point. I'd say it's probably around the city of Shasta Lake, Redding, Anderson, Cottonwood, Red Bluff, a bit of a stretch there. Gusty winds, that's going to be, of course, last night and, of course, into Wednesday. And we've also got the chance for thunderstorms in the forecast for today and tomorrow. All right, so here's a look at Krueger's Quickcast for your Wednesday, March 12th. Here's what you can expect for today. A little wet this morning. I think most of us will be fairly wet, although places like Modoc County may have to wait a little bit later before you start seeing some of that rain and, of course, some of that snow as well. Temperatures right now, not nearly as cold, is it? And the reason being is a warm subtropical moisture is moving over Northern California as we speak. It's warmer air. So as a result, our temperatures are up, and that's why snow levels are starting off fairly high. I mean, look at Alturas, 43 degrees, 40 in Susanville. Chester, all right, you're the coldest at 37, but you're still mainly in the form of rain at this point. We've got, of course, rain for the coast. Got Dawn Venturi saying it's been raining in Crescent City since last night. Looks like Kimberly saying thanks for your insight on the local travel. And rain, starting to rain in west of Red Bluff, 7 miles west of Red Bluff. Thanks to Curtis for your information there. And then, of course, Lisa's just tired because she's still struggling with the time change. But look at the temperatures. They are warmer, thanks again to that warmer subtropical air. But see, the thing is this. That's what's moving over right now. But you see all those speckled clouds over the Gulf of Alaska to our west? That is cold air, folks, and that's really cold air. And that is going to tap into the subtropical moisture. And when you have the combination of warm subtropical air and moisture, right, and cold air, that is a recipe for heavy snow, and that's also the recipe for low snow levels. So we take a look at the wind alerts, and you can see the wind advisory through today, through this afternoon, through about 2 o'clock this afternoon for Humboldt County, and until about 5, 6 o'clock this afternoon for Siskiyou County, and also in the valley and the surrounding foothills. So let's take a look at the winds here for today. And there you can see very gusty winds. And you know, as we go through the midday, now they're picking up for everybody. All right, especially the valley, seeing some gusty winds, 30, 40 miles an hour. That's the case still for the coast. Then as we go through the afternoon, see how the winds are starting to die down, but still gusty for the coast. Stronger winds by mid-afternoon for the valley and eastern mountains. That's the cold front pushing through, by the way. Then as the cold front pushes to our east, winds are starting to die down across the board, especially the coast. And then by tonight, still a little gusty for the eastern mountains, but everyone else seeing calmer winds. And we'll see calmer winds through the day on Thursday. Check this out. And I knew this was going to happen, folks. I recorded the 6 o'clock show for the morning update. And it was showing the severe outlook, the chances for thunderstorms west of the valley. And I thought, no, we're going to see thunderstorms today. So I was confused as to why the Storm Prediction Center didn't put that in there. And sure enough, there it is. We got that chance for thunderstorms out there today in the valley and, of course, westward. All right, so let's take a look at Futurecast. And there you can see, of course, the rain. We've got snow in the mountains. But again, keep in mind, snow levels at this point are between 4,500 and above 5,000 feet. Now, as we go through the morning, there's that main push of moisture pushing through the coast. By midday, we're starting to see heavier rainfall, or should we just say light rain, light to moderate rain for the valley. Heavier rain still off to the west. Look at the snow. We're not seeing a lot of snow on the map. Why? Because it's in the higher elevations. So I-5, Mount Shasta, you're going to be just wet. 299 west, it's going to be wet, but not snow. It's the eastern mountains, some of the higher mountain passes that you may have to be dealing with those chain requirements. 3 p.m. Look where that, now we're seeing the heavier rainfall. Maybe we're seeing some thunderstorms for the valley. And by the way, this morning and mid-afternoon hours, thunderstorms also for the coast. But look at the snow. Look at the darker shades of blue. You see how it's still not quite in the lower mountain communities just yet. I think we're going to be kind of in that borderline category for, say, Chester at 4,500 feet, right? But you have to go really above that before you start seeing that significant snow. So we take you into this afternoon, 6 p.m. Now we're seeing the heavier band of rain off to our east, and snow. And now we're going to start dealing with chain requirements galore east of I-5 later this afternoon and evening. Snow levels haven't really significantly dropped yet. It's tonight, it's tomorrow morning that we're going to be looking at that. There is a winter storm warning for the areas in pink. And let me see if I can click on that. That's until 8 p.m. for Trinity County, until 11 p.m. Thursday for Shasta County, until 11 p.m. Thursday for Plumas County. We have a winter weather advisory until 5 p.m. Thursday for northern Humboldt County, until 5 p.m. Thursday for Del Norte County, and until 5 a.m. Thursday for Modoc County. Again, I don't really like to go into the times of all this because it just gets confusing. Well, why is it just till 5? Because the thing about the winter weather advisories, and I don't really report on them a whole lot during the day, is because they're constantly changing. It's either a winter storm watch or an advisory or a winter storm warning. So bottom line, we've got snow, and we got a lot of it on the way. So Mount Shasta Ski Park, no snow in the last 24 hours, no big surprises, but we're going to see that new snow by tomorrow. We're going to see a lot more snow on top of that. Now, the road conditions are fine for now, just wet, but it's snowing up at Mount Shasta Ski Park right now. So if you don't mind skiing in the snow, you'll be okay. It'll be also windy, hopefully not too windy for them to close the park down, but it'll be snowing, not raining. And I would say that the road conditions will probably maybe start deteriorating by the time you're heading back home if you're going to be there all day. So maybe some snow late in the day. But I think it's going to be mainly tonight, tomorrow morning. Take a look at this. This is through Friday, 5 p.m. 60, 65 inches of snow. Whew, man, it's looking good. What a great late season storm for skiers, snowboarders, not necessarily for travelers. But right now, yeah, the chain requirements, there aren't any, at least for us. You head south into the Tahoe region, there are a few. So we're fine for now, just wet roads. Okay, but here's what it looks like. As you can see, you could see earlier when it was dark, it looked like there was a bit of a mix. Looks like it's kind of slowed down. There's Chester, kind of the left of your screen right there. I just wanted to show that because there was some signs of some of that mix out there above 4,000, 4,500 feet. Now looking at the road conditions for this morning into the afternoon hours. So notice the dark blue, that's the heavier snow. So east of I-5, yes, I think we'll see chain requirements, say above 4,000, 4,500 feet in particular. As we get to 5 o'clock this afternoon and evening, Snowman Summit on 89, parts of Highway 89, I think we start to see some snow at this point. Mount Shasta City, around Weed, maybe a bit of a mix. We're starting to get to that point where it may start transitioning over to snow more, and we may start seeing some chain requirements starting to pop up by this evening and tonight. But watch what happens as we go into tonight and early tomorrow morning. It just lights up with all the light blue. That's the snow. Now look at Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain. I think we could see some snow there. Highway 36 West, yes, chain requirements. I-5, north of Reading, I think you're going to have chain checks tomorrow morning at Fondale exit. Be prepared for delays if you have to travel north of Reading on I-5 because I think there's going to be snow and a lot of it, and it's going to create problems. I would even anticipate the potential for a closing of I-5 because of the amount of snow that we may see. So that's all happening in the next 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours. So here's what it looks like today. Showers, rain, thunderstorms, gusty winds for the valley and for the coast in particular. And of course, rain, snow mix for many of the higher elevations. That will of course transition over to mainly snow as you start getting down to about 2,000 feet. So tonight, still mild for the valley, upper 30s to around 40, but we're getting into the teens and 20s tonight for the mountains. What does that mean? It means more snow, right? Now we're starting to see that potential for more snow. 31 degrees for Weaverville, upper 30s for the coast. It's cooling off there as well. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for the valley to start off. What's that? Is that a mix that I see in the Reading area? Now, Red Bluff, that may be a stretch, but Anderson, Cottonwood, Friday, Thursday night, Friday, maybe. I'm not anticipating accumulating snow right now for the valley, but stay tuned. That's the bottom line. Stay tuned. We'll keep a close eye on this very closely for you. The coast, inland, and for Trinity County. Snow level starting off, I've got it as low as 3,500 feet. That's the lowest it will get today, but mainly above 4,000 feet and 4,500 feet. But look at the snow levels. Thursday, 1,500 feet. Friday, 1,000 feet. And then around 2,000 to 2,500 feet for the weekend and into Monday. All right, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast for Siskiyou, Modoc County, the Eastern Mountains. Snow levels also dropping to around 1,000, 2,500 feet on Friday, that is. But generally about 2,000 to 3,000 feet, 3,500 feet for the weekend into early next week. And look at that, a break from the wet weather on Tuesday of next week. But looking at the long-range forecast models, maybe around Wednesday, Thursday of next week, maybe some more wet weather returning to the forecast. All right, take a look at some of the cameras out there, and it looks like it might be a little wet out there at Lake Oroville. We certainly are seeing some showers in parts of the valley. There it is. We have, looks like some raindrops on the lens there in Lake Oroville, North Forebay. So there's some confirmation for you. Take a look at Main Street Chico. There are the wet roads. It's going to be a wet commute to work this morning or getting the kids off to school. As you can see that, most likely will be on Highway 299 at Neal Road. And yes, excuse me, Highway 99 at Neal Road. And yes, there it is, the wet roads that we have out there. Taking a look at Reading. Can't really tell from here, but looks like we are seeing possibly some wet roads out there. I wanted to see if, let's take a look at the sunset camera here in Crescent City. And looks a little windy, looks a little wet. That's to be expected. Haven't had much luck with, let me see if I can find it here. Let's see if the Sundial Bridge camera is up and running. And it's been doing the spinning wheel for quite a while. Well, gosh darn it, we're not going to get that. But I was just going to kind of show you what it looked like out there. The Sundial Bridge, which is most likely a little wet at this point. All right, so that's a look at Krueger's Quickcast. And I'm going to check in with some of you. It's pouring. It's now pouring in Bernie. All right, so it's probably pouring rain, not necessarily snow. Thank you, Kim, for that report. In fact, let me do this. Let's take a look at the radar and see what it looks like. Let's kind of do a little analysis of the radar. Get that going. And there we go. Yeah. All right, so the radar is not picking up on it. See, this is where you all come in, and it's such a great tool, great access to that. I'm going to take a look at this. Do this with me. Let's do this together. We're going to go ahead and get that out of there, and let's do this. Let's do reflectivity. Let's see if the radar out of Reno is showing it. No, it's not. Let's see if the radar out of, there we go. You know what? Yeah, I see what's happening. So here's the problem with Bernie. It tends to be in the shadow of Mount Shasta. Think of the radar beam as it just kind of, sweeps through. What happens is it hits Mount Shasta, and you see the little slot right there? There's a slot southeast of Mount Shasta that goes all the way down to Bernie, and a lot of times it doesn't register the rain or snow because the mountain is covering the radar beam and we're not seeing that. So that's always a bummer when we're trying to take a look what's going on with that. So there you go. Just wanted to kind of show you that. Fun little very light precipitation in Pittville from Ann Meyer. Let's go ahead and get you some of you up on the screen there. Very light precipitation. Like I was saying, we've also got Stephen Cook mentioning that it's drizzling in Durham. As I mentioned, Kim Beach is saying that it is pouring in Bernie right now. And of course, we got Don Venturi saying good morning. It's been raining in Crescent City since last night. Well, that's to be expected. Curtis Brown earlier this morning, earlier during as I came on here, said, everyone, good morning, everyone. And Mike, 7 miles west of Red Bluff, just starting to rain here. We've had gusts of 27 miles per hour so far. Those gusts will get stronger, Curtis. I don't doubt that. It's definitely going to be pretty gusty out there. So yeah, it's happening, folks. This rain, this snow that I've been telling you about, it is happening. And, we're going to be looking at some heavy rainfall at times, some thunderstorms, the works. So let's get prepared for that. Be ready for it. And let's get you to the deeper dive forecast right now. As you know, Coffee with Krueger is made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. Without our sponsors, this would not exist. Hey, by the way, before we get to that, now that I have you all here, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to do a survey. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's doing this in East Tennessee. And he's been doing this for as long as I have about. We got a group of 6 meteorologists. We're going to start the National Weather Network, the works, okay? I've been debating whether or not to start Coffee with Krueger an hour earlier. When I first started, it was 6:30, then I bumped it up to 7. But I would like to ask you, for those of you that are watching now, maybe you don't get to watch as much, would it be easier for you if I did a 6 o'clock in the morning Coffee with Krueger? Let me know in the comments. Because I'm probably going to do a survey on Facebook as well to kind of get your input on this, because I think that more people are kind of just enjoying their coffee, hanging out, especially those that have to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. But by 7 a.m., it's a little bit more go time, a little less time to hang out and check out what's going on with the weather and watch a show. So your thoughts, I would love to hear them. Okay, there you go. So again, made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Already, Debbie is saying no rain, but I like 7 o'clock. Okay, there's the first vote. The first vote came in, but we've got a lot of other votes to probably check in with that. We'll see. All right, so here you go. We take a look at the radar, and again, you can see we're getting a bit of that shadowing, so it's not showing the rain for Bernie that you're seeing right now, but latest report is showing that you're getting some heavy downpours there. So there's the rain off to the east. Notice too, we're not seeing a lot of snow on the radar here because snow levels are starting off high. And we'll get into why that's the case. But there you can see a band of heavier rainfall as it pushes to the east. Rain will pick up in intensity for the coast. As that pushes off to the east later this afternoon, it'll pick up in intensity for the valley and then picking up in intensity later this afternoon for the eastern mountains, and a lot of it in the form of snow, especially the higher elevations. Warmer, subtropical, moist air is in place right now. That's responsible for the rain, but it's also responsible for the mild temperatures. Low 50s right now in the valley, But even in the mountains, low 40s for most of us. The cooler spot is in Chester at about 37, 39 for Mount Shasta City, and even for the coast, you're looking at temperatures upper 40s to low 50s. All right, so here's what you can expect through early next week. Be prepared for a wet weather pattern starting now through next Monday. Heavy snow at times will lead to travel concerns and delays, even on I-5. We're going to see that as early as tonight and tomorrow. And what I haven't included in here is the potential for a rain-snow mix for the north end of the valley. City of Shasta Lake, Redding, Anderson, Cottonwood, barely pushing it for Red Bluff. But we could see a mix Thursday night, Friday morning for the north end of the valley. Gusty winds for last night, of course, early this morning and through the afternoon, and possible thunderstorms today, tomorrow, and even with the approaching storm systems later this week and weekend. So here's your overall setup. All right, so this right here, subtropical moisture. This originated, kind of looked a lot like this. It was a moisture source that was coming from the subtropics, and then eventually what it did is it's now over us. So we have this warm subtropical moist air in place. That's responsible for the mild temperatures and the high snow levels and the rain. But behind it, look what's going on here. See the speckled clouds? That's the colder air that's going to be moving in. So again, warm subtropical moist air in place right now, keeping those snow levels fairly high. Eventually, as all of this shifts eastward, this colder air is going to filter in. It's going to be cold and unstable, which is why we expect to see the potential for thunderstorms, but it's also going to be tapping into this subtropical moisture, giving us heavy snow in the higher elevations today and lower elevations later tonight and into tomorrow. This right here, this setup is the perfect ingredients for a big snow event. It just depends on how much moisture we have, and it looks like plentiful moisture. Let's take a look at this. Here's 8 o'clock this morning. There's a heavier rainfall along the coast. We're still seeing that beginning to develop and get stronger as we speak. Now, we're not looking at a lot of rain. I mean, we're going to be looking at scattered showers through the morning hours here for the valley. And of course, we're seeing some of this. This is really what we're seeing here, is just kind of coming up from the winds kind of blowing up the mountains and creating that showers and, of course, snow in the mountains. All right, so I've got snow levels 3,500 to 4,500 feet, really closer to this. Later in the day, closer to this. All right, so here's what we've got. Midday today, that heavier rainfall still west and really kind of surrounding the valley, but light to moderate rainfall in the valley by midday. Thunderstorms a very good possibility west of the valley at this point, including the coast. But notice still, we're not seeing a lot of snow on the map here. That's because snow levels are still closer to 4,500 feet and higher. Even by 3 o'clock this afternoon, now we're starting to see moderate to heavy rainfall at times for the valley, gusty winds, thunderstorms are a possibility, but again, not a lot of snow below 4,500 feet at this point. So travel on the mountain highways is mainly going to be wet. That's going to be the main concern. But as you head into the eastern mountains, yeah, some of the higher mountain passes above 4,500, 5,000 feet, I think you'll start seeing some chain requirements. But look at this. By 6 p.m. now the cold front's off to the east. This is where the main band of moisture is. We're seeing heavy snow in the eastern mountains, and this is when we really start to see a lot of chain requirements begin to pop up in the eastern mountains. Now, for Mount Shasta City, for places like Snowman Summit, this is when we start seeing the transition. We'll probably start seeing a bit of a mix and eventually turning over to all snow by later tonight. And there you can see west of I-5, I think things still okay on Highway 299 west at 6 p.m. But look at this. Number one, what you'll notice as we go into tonight and tomorrow, the overall coverage of rain and snow, we're not seeing as much. That's because the main band of moisture is now gone. But we still have a lot of leftover moisture available. The cold and unstable air is in place. That's what's going to squeeze out any available moisture that's out there, and that's what's going to give us the snow in those lower mountain communities. Look at the snow levels, 2,000 to 3,000 feet. Hayfork, Weaverville. Yes, I think you're going to see some snow, and maybe even some accumulating snow at that, even as early as tonight and early tomorrow morning. And of course, we're seeing some of that around Bernie, Shingletown. We'd head out to a place like Montgomery Creek. right? All those places seeing the potential. And cold and unstable air will also mean the potential for thunderstorms on the coast, and eventually maybe even some of those coming in late tonight, early tomorrow morning for the valley. Rumbles of thunder tonight, don't be surprised. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Again, we're not looking at an atmospheric river, if you will, pointed right at us. It's not there yet. But there still is some available moisture, and we're seeing snow flurries in the higher elevations, still about 2,000 to 3,000 feet. Thursday around midday, all right, you see how it's not very active? We're not looking at a lot of rain. We're not even looking at a lot of snow, but there still will be off and on snow showers through the day between 2,000 and 3,000 feet. This is why conditions can change rapidly during these types of events. So even though it may be clear at one point in the mountains, you then see a snow flurry, suddenly you've got snow on the ground, and it creates a problem. Because keep in mind, we've got colder air in place too. 3 p.m. Tomorrow afternoon, there's the showers, possible thunderstorms popping up for the valley, scattered snow showers in the higher elevations. Still 2,000 to 3,000 feet. Look at this, by Thursday, 6 p.m., it's really wrapping up. In fact, we may even see a little bit of a break Thursday evening, Thursday night, before the next batch of moisture begins to move on in and the next disturbance. All right, so here it is, Friday morning at 5 a.m. Look what I've done with the snow levels, 1,000 to 2,000 feet and maybe even lower. Look at the valley. You see how we're seeing some snow really close, maybe even a bit of a mix. So I'm including a mix for places like the city of Shasta Lake, Redding, maybe Anderson, maybe Cottonwood. But you start heading south to Red Bluff and south of that, probably not. That's what I'm seeing at this point. And quite honestly, I was seeing in the long-range forecast models, a lot of times they tend to get a little overly aggressive with that, so I didn't really mention it. But this shorter range forecast model is showing that potential. At this point, I'm not expecting any accumulating snow in the valley, but if you see some flakes mixed in there with the rain, all right? But this is obviously something I'll be watching very closely. We're still 2 days out. So, I mean, a lot can happen between now and then. But look at the snow we're seeing in the mountains. So, yes, Friday morning, oh man, it's going to be ugly. I would anticipate that by Friday morning, we could be looking at the potential for a closure of I-5, but at the very least, chain requirements, chain checks out at Fondale exit, without a doubt. When we start talking about a mix or even snow in the valley, it's going to be a mess in the mountains, bottom line. But look at the heavy rainfall we're seeing out there as well. Now, we go into Friday around midday, all right, it's starting to kind of break apart. The snow levels are lifting a bit, probably still about 1,000 to 2,000 feet, but probably closer to 2,000 feet at this point. And then we go into Friday afternoon. I've still got it at 1,000 to 2,000, but really at this point now it's more like 2 to 3. Most of the snow is up to the north. We're seeing a bit of a break. We're not going to see as much activity on Saturday. And then, of course, on Sunday, especially Sunday evening, Sunday night, more rain. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. There's a chance for thunderstorms. And if you watched my 6 o'clock in the morning update, you saw that this was actually more to the west. I mentioned, I think there'll still be thunderstorms in the mountains, well, in the valley. And of course, the Storm Prediction Center is now on board with that, still on board with that even for tomorrow as well. Okay, so the amount of rainfall we expect, this is coming from our in-house short-range forecast model. This is going through Friday, 5 p.m. I'm pretty happy with these numbers. I think we could see over an inch of rain for the north and south end of the valley, probably less than that, a little bit less than an inch for places like Red Bluff, Corning, and Willows. 1, 2, even 3 inches of rain is not out of the question here for parts of the coast. We'll certainly be on the lookout for that. All right, here's the snowfall estimates. And I decided to go ahead and put in my own numbers, my own estimates here as to what I expect. So I do expect 8 to 12 inches possibly in Mount Shasta City through 5 p.m. on Friday. I'd say maybe closer to the lower end there, but you get the idea. I think we could see 8 to 12 inches possibly. Lakehead 1 to 3, I put less than an inch for Redding because, again, that's just kind of including the mix that I was talking about. I think Weaverville, Hayfork, you could see upwards of 2 to maybe 4 inches of snow, maybe a mix out towards Hoopa. I don't expect any accumulating snow there, though. Alturas, a little bit of snow, not as much out, and you can see about 3 to 6 inches at Fall River Mills. Bernie, I may be a little conservative with these numbers. I would go to the higher end for Bernie. But keep in mind, it's going to be hard-pressed for you to see that snow today. It's really going to be a Thursday, Friday event for you, really everyone. Shingletown, 2 to 4 inches. Look at this, Chester. I've got you at possibly over a foot of snow. and then a little bit less than that down to the south and east, and Susanville may get shadowed a little bit here at 1 to 2 inches. But there are some areas, and especially some of these lower mountain communities, that are going to be dealing with some heavy snow, and that's going to create travel problems over the next couple of days. So something worth watching. These numbers will change over the next 24 hours, but you get the idea. All right, so again, we've got the winter storm warning, we got winter weather advisories, just basically showing you that the Weather Service is keeping an eye on it, and that's what their overall projection is. Note, this just came in. Highway 36, you can see Highway 36 East. We've got some new chain requirements going on right there. I'll just see if there's any, I don't know if we have any cameras in that general area, but we're beginning to see the snow accumulate for some of those higher, and this is what I was talking about. It's mainly going to be east of I-5 this morning and afternoon that we're going to see the bulk of the chain requirements. So I would anticipate, if we're seeing that now, Bogard Ranger Station may eventually see some chain requirements for down your pass. May start to see some of it as well. Again, above 4,000, 5,000 feet when we start seeing that. So let's take a look at what it looks like right now. Okay, here's Highway 36. We're not really seeing anything at Chester or for down your summit, but again, I think that's going to be changing here later this morning and of course this afternoon. So looking at the road conditions forecast, here's through midday. So you see how we're seeing, even at 5 o'clock this afternoon, we're seeing most of the snow off to the east. We're seeing snow to the north as well. We may, and this is what I was talking about. You see, even this model is picking up on maybe a little bit of a mix out towards I-5, near Mount Shasta, near Weed. And of course, I would anticipate maybe even in the form of all snow out at Snowman Summit. But we look at Highway 299 West. Doesn't look too bad. But again, I would keep a close eye on that here if you're traveling at all this evening, because that may change. Highway 36 West, we're seeing some snow near there as well. But it's tonight. It's tomorrow morning. Check that out. It lights up, doesn't it? So this is when I would anticipate that by late tonight, early tomorrow morning, chain requirements on I-5. Chain requirements on Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, Highway 36 West, and obviously to the mountains east of the valley as well. All right, here's your long range. As I mentioned, I don't anticipate much in the way of rain or snow on Saturday, but there you can see that chance for some activity here. Then late in the day, Sunday, we see the next round of rain and snow kicking in. This one doesn't look like the snow levels may be quite as low, but still snow in the mountains nonetheless. Monday, still some scattered showers out there, and then Tuesday of next week, you see that ridge of high pressure building in, but we got to keep our eyes on this and this. There is more active weather possibly, based on the long-range forecast models for now, that by the middle to latter part of next week, some more wet weather is in the forecast. I think I remember at the end of February, people were concerned we hadn't seen much rain. They're going, I hope we have a miracle March. Well, we're beginning to kind of get into that category, aren't we? So let's take a look at the long-range forecast model. And I think the forecast models may be a little too conservative with these numbers, but 2 to 3 inches is not out of the question from now all the way through next Monday. Of course, this says still Tuesday, but Tuesday is not going to rain. And of course, you can see more than that for the coast and less in the north and east. I would anticipate that these numbers, especially for the valley, may be a bit higher. We'll see. That's why I'm not a big fan of going beyond 3 days of forecasting rain or snow, because it just goes up and down, up and down. What hasn't been going up and up and up and down is the lake levels. They've in fact been going up a little bit here the last several days for Lake Shasta, Lake Oroville, just barely dropping on at Trinity Lake. We've seen some new numbers here up to 81% now for the capacity. So remember, it was down to less than 80% a few weeks ago. Now it's back up to 80% or higher. So looking good. Lake levels are still looking healthy. All right, let's talk about the winds. So as the cold front passes through this morning, the winds will be strongest for the coast. Then by midday, stronger, and afternoon for the valley, and then this afternoon, evening for the eastern mountains, and then the winds die down. And so this is until 2 p.m., this is until 5 p.m., and this is until this evening. Let's take a look at the winds. All right, so we take you to midday. You see how the winds are still strong for the coast, but not as strong. Stronger for the valley, stronger for Siskiyou County and the eastern mountains. Okay, here we are Wednesday today at 6 p.m. Much weaker winds for the coast. Winds are dying down, but still gusty. this afternoon and evening for the valley, strongest to the eastern mountains. Tomorrow morning, we're done with it. Yeah, a little breezy, but no more wind events, at least for tomorrow. Still a little breezy even for Thursday afternoon. But the next storm system that comes in on Friday, yeah, now we got some winds for the coast, we got winds for the mountains, we got winds for the valley. Looks like another wind event coming in on Friday, and then maybe possibly dying down again on Saturday. So off and on winds too. So we do have the cooler than normal temperatures in the long range. Looking at the 10-day trend, at least for Redding, we're down to 47, which is why we do have that rain-snow mix in the forecast. But look at these temperatures. The normal high is 65. For Redding, you're going to stay below that for the next 10 days. So this is a cooler than normal March, and most likely going to be a wetter than normal March as well. Okay, so here's your wave heights for today. Look at the wave heights as we go into Thursday. We're not changing much. Now, there is a gale warning this morning. Should expire by about 9, 10 o'clock this morning, but I do expect those wave heights to still be fairly high, although they are dropping later today, later this afternoon. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Snow levels are going to be kind of going up and down a bit, but for the most part for Trinity County, they will average around 2,000 feet, give or take, for the next 6 days. And then, of course, by Tuesday, it dries out. 44 degrees for a high today in Hayfork, 37 degrees in Peanut and Wildwood, about 39 degrees. Now, for southern Humboldt County, rain, possible thunderstorms this morning and even through the afternoon. That's the case for pretty much inland, for the coast, everyone. We've got that chance for thunderstorms. Not everyone will see them, but we will see gusty winds and rain and heavy rain at times. 49 degrees for Blue Lake, 50 degrees in Trinidad, and 49 degrees in Hoopa. Up north, 42 degrees for Gasquet. Again, keep in mind, it's going to be very windy. And of course, you got the chance for thunderstorms even for, again, tomorrow afternoon. Your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, temperatures in the upper 40s to around 50. Snow levels for Siskiyou County will average somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000 feet. Lowest on Friday at about 1,000 feet for Scott Valley too. And of course, you've got the drier conditions by next Tuesday. Central eastern Siskiyou County, about 40 degrees in Weed, 42 for Mount Shasta today, and 46 degrees out in Tule Lake. We take you out to Modoc County, where we've got also the snow levels kind of averaging there around, say, 2,500, 3,500 feet or so. Otherwise, today you've got the rain and eventually some snow coming in later this afternoon and evening. Gusty winds for the eastern mountains. Montgomery Creek, about 48, 47 degrees for Beaver. I think your rain today in Bernie, but by tonight, tomorrow, you got snow. And then mainly snow. I mean, we start getting about 3,000 feet. Bernie's at approximately 3,000 feet, a little bit higher than that. So this is when we probably start seeing more of a mix at times. But I think the best chances for snow will be Thursday and Friday when we expect some of that colder air to move on in. Lake Almanor, Lassen Park. There you can see for the lake, temperatures in the low 40s and in the 30s out towards Lassen Park itself. Down to the south, Paradise, you'll be looking at a high of 51. By the way, notice what we got right here, 2,000 feet. Paradise is not out of the woods to maybe see some snow as we go into Thursday night and Friday as well. But for Susanville, off and on chances for rain and snow, mainly snow, and then we're dry by next Tuesday. All right, here's your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamuth Painting. Those temperatures are going to be in the mid-50s. Rain, possible thunderstorms today and tomorrow, off and on rain through Monday, and then of course Tuesday, we dry things out. Here's your 7-day forecast for Chico, and rain, thunderstorms today, showers, thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, Friday more rain, showers off and on for the weekend, heavier rainfall coming in Sunday evening, Sunday night, more rain, showers at least for Monday on your St. Patrick's Day before we see a break, and warmer too by next Tuesday. Let's take you up to the north. So it's not going to be complete, not everyone's going to be looking at thunderstorms, but the chances certainly will be there through the midday hours and afternoon as well. 54 degrees for Whiskeytown. And there's that mix. I don't think we're going to quite reach that mix as far south as Red Bluff, but I do think Redding could. Anderson, maybe Cottonwood as well. Off and on chances for rain will continue through your St. Patrick's Day on Monday. No, it won't be green rain, but I think some of you will think it is and want it to be, but it's not. It's not going to be green rain. But yes, he'll be dancing. The leprechauns and yourselves, if you like the rain and want to continue to see the rain, you'll be dancing in the rain. That's the bottom line. Okay, that's going to do it for our forecast. Hey, but So I put it out there earlier. Let me get this ready to go here. I put it out there earlier about starting the show at 6 o'clock in the morning. So some of you, Curtis Brown is saying, let's put these up on the screen here. Let's kind of do our little survey here and see what, at least the people who typically watch, what your thoughts are on this. Because I'd love to see what some of you think. 6 will be okay, especially when it gets warmer. I can get working outside earlier than waiting for 7 o'clock. Okay, so there's one. We've got Krista saying 6:30 or 7, not going yet at 6 o'clock. Okay, so you're not up by then. We got Don Arnold saying 6:30. Okay, we've got Amy Campbell, and some of these names here I haven't seen very often, so maybe you're kind of new, maybe you don't watch typically, but you're watching this morning because it's going to be active weather. Amy, you're saying 6:30 would be great. Okay. Interesting. So it's interesting I put it out there, I was thinking about 6. Some of you are a lot of you are saying 6:30 now. And of course, Stephen Cook is saying 7 o'clock, but you're retired. And then of course, we've got Catherine Schmidt saying, let's see here, and 6 or 6:30 would be wonderful. And then of course, we've got Lisa saying, I work from home, so 6 works for me. And of course, Debbie earlier, the first one to cast her vote, said 7 o'clock. I will be doing another probably through the rest of the week because this is something I'm debating. I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm trying to decide if there's something I want to do. I might kind of experiment and do it again, maybe at 6:30. If it doesn't work, then go back to 7. I don't know. But bottom line is, if I start the show at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to have to wake up earlier. Am I thrilled about that? No. But it might be for the better because I think more people might be watching at that point. I don't know. Tracy Sackett saying, good morning. 6 a.m. would be hard for me to catch live, but I can always catch it later. So it's easier for you to watch at 7? Interesting. Sometimes it's just not that easy. Depending on, it doesn't matter what time I do it. Bottom line, it's not going to be easy for everybody. I mean, that's why the news organizations, they do it from like 5 a.m. until 7. So you can just kind of, throughout those 2 hours, go in there. But I'm not going to do a show for 2 hours, that's for sure. I can't sustain a show for 2 hours. I've got to pick about a half hour, 45 minutes little thing in there, and I think we'll be good. But as it stands right now, it looks like 6:30 might not be a bad idea. We'll see. We shall see. Back to the original 6:30 that I had when I first started this. Should be interesting. Well, the show went a little bit longer than usual, and that's because we've got a lot going on here. But I want to thank you all for casting your votes. And be sure to keep checking on Facebook because I will also do some more surveys for the rest of this week, probably every day. I want to really figure out what's best for you all and what works best for you all. My idea, my thought process is this. The reason I say 6 o'clock is because for those people that work out of home, who have to be at work, they wake up around 6 o'clock or so. Maybe a little after that, maybe a little bit before that. I know my wife wakes up a little bit before 6. They're kind of chilling in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning on the couch, in their bed, just scrolling probably through their phones. This is when they're a little bit more relaxed, maybe enjoying their coffee. And this would be easier for them to maybe watch, a morning weather show, okay? But 7 o'clock, it feels to me like this is about the time, people are still home, don't get me wrong, I know that, but 7 o'clock is a time, it's kind of like, it's getting close to go time. So it's not as relaxing because you've got to make sure you have everything ready to go to get out the door for the morning, whether you have kids to get them off to school or you've got to get to work, the works. It's more go time. You're not going to be as relaxed and you're not going to sit down and watch it as much. So that's kind of my thought process. Now, again, I get it. There are retired people out there that watch, and so it's probably easier for you, especially if you wake up later, to watch at 7 a.m. It just depends. So, yeah, Tracy's saying, good morning, 6 a.m. would be hard for me to catch live. So there might be some people, I don't know. I'm not quite sure why it would be harder for you to watch at 6 a.m. as opposed to 7. Maybe, I don't know. Everybody has their schedules. Everybody has their thing. But Elaine saying 6 works great. Better for me, no rain. Okay, 6 works great. There you go. Okay, well. Well, I'm going to wrap up with that and call it a day, or call it a morning. I'm not going to call it a day. I got a lot going on today. So what do you say we call it a wrap for the show? And we get ready for some wet weather. Heading our way. It's going to be wet weather. We got it. It's here. You can see that when we look at the cameras. Let's do this one first. There you go. This is out at Lake Oroville. So we're going to leave you with a couple of cameras. We're going to leave you with some jazzy music. And we will see you tomorrow morning at 7. I'm not doing the 6 o'clock thing just yet. It may be in the next week or two before I make some kind of change. But until then, have yourselves a great day. Keep checking in right here at Weather NorCal for the latest on the forecast, especially as the storm moves through, because things will be changing rapidly and there will be updates that you need to keep following, especially if you need to travel. Have a great day, everyone.